Square Hammer.
What is up, YouTube? What is up, Square Hammers? I was working because I work from home, and I just got a ping on on a Facebook chat saying that GW just dropped their newest FAQ, and it is 1.5.3. So I figured today take a little break. It's almost lunchtime, and I could sit down and live review the newest updates. Let me know if everyone can hear me well, if there's no problems. Okay, so they have the rulebook FAQ, they have the Ravening Hordes FAQ, the Forces of Fantasy FAQ, and a Cathay FAQ. And I'm just going to go ahead and go through this. Hope everyone had a good July 4th Independence Day. If you don't celebrate it, I just hope you had a good day, good weekend. Okay, so just going to dive right into it. I haven't read these because I just took past 30 minutes setting this up. Let's make sure everyone could hear me okay. Can y'all hear me well enough? Whoa! Took a little break from fantasy. Been playing a couple casual games, but nothing crazy. But I'll probably go to Rob's at the end of this month. I know the Lone Star Open also has a GT, so there's one in at Huzzah Hobbies. There's a GT in somewhere in Maryland, I can't remember it. And then there's another one in Texas for the Lone Star Open. So if y'all can hear me well enough, I'm just going to start it. All right, so obviously everything in blue are just updates from the previous FAQ. Everything in magenta is a brand new edition. So let's see what we got. I see chat groups right now going crazy. I'm trying not to read them so I can go at this with y'all brand new, fresh eyes looking. Okay, nothing on the first couple pages. Aha, okay, we got one. Brand new. Historical recreation. Change the last sentence of the third paragraph as follows. In addition, any unit with the impetuous special rule suffers a -1 to its leadership when testing to see if it must declare a charge. Alright, so if you're impetuous, it's going to be a little bit easier for you to just go and get in there, little headstrong, and make the charge. Okay, I like that because at the Nova Open, one of my scenarios is just every single unit on the field, allies, everybody, is impetuous. So we will implement this. So everything's at -1, so people will be charging. Okay, I like that. I like that. So it's getting a little bit closer to frenzy. You're getting a little bit more towards frenzy because you can't control it as much. Okay. All right. The match play guide, grand melee. Let's just zoom in a little bit. Add the following to the list of bullet points. No single. Can y'all see all that? Yeah, it looks like it. No single unit may contain more than 50% of the total number of models in the army. Okay, so I guess people were doing, if it was like a 4 or 5 point model, taking 100 of them, which means that's 500 points. And then the rest of your army, you'd have to have at least 100 models, 101 models or something, more than half. So, okay. Like maybe there were Skaven or vampire counts, probably. Couldn't do zombies, but you could do skeleton warriors. You could do that for Tomb Kings as well. Just a big brick. All right. I mean, that's cool. It kind of cuts down on because they already had the points limit on it. So I guess they also wanted to do number of models just because I guess some armies were able to break through that barrier. Okay, okay. Fine, fine. No problem. General principles. Oh, you know what? Let me share this real quick. I shared it on Facebook and some Discords, but I need to put it in some group chats that I'm in. So just give me 1 second. Man, some of the stuff that pops up on Facebook is crazy. I so so I guess Pegasus got a little nerfy nerf for the pegs. I'm okay with that. I think they've had their heyday long enough, and they're not new models, so I'm surprised GW made them last so long. Everyone, I'm live. Come say hello. Who's in the chat today? Who's in the chat? I'm curious who's here. All right. General principles. Players have choices to make throughout the game. If both players have the same choice to make at the same time, who chooses first? The active player always chooses first. That's not new. Most 40K games, or 40K has basically always been like that. And we usually just assume that that has been the case. So that's good that it is now in writing. So the active player always chooses first, period. Basically, if there's certain things that I have started turn and you have started turn, if you're the active player, you get to say what happens first in which sequential order. And same thing like start of the command phase, start of the shooting phase, all that kind of stuff. So whoever's turn is actively, they get to choose in what order that stack happens. That's cool. I'm glad they added that. Can models choose to not make armor, ward, or regen saves if it has them? No. If a model can attempt to make it save, it must. So regeneration used to say may. So if you were attacked by a dragon and your skeleton champion, you don't want to give extra combat res, right? So you used to just let him die and not take the regen saves. And it doesn't have to only be a skeleton champion versus a dragon. It could be any instance. But you would do that to not give up more combat res. But now here they're saying you have to make those regen saves. So that's good, because I think armor and ward were already required, but regen was may. So now regen you also must do, which is cool. Looks like we have one that talking about cover saves, or obscured, not cover saves. What did mine was bringing? Whoa. Gorgo of Ghent. A buddy of mine was bringing 100 skeleton blocks and Tomb Kings. Kinda okay with not facing that for a bit. Yeah, I totally understand. That's basically just this block that's never going to move anywhere. It's only 500 points, maybe a little bit more with full command and stuff. But you drop it so it's max 500. And then they have that phalanx thing, so they never give ground unless they're double outnumbered. That unit's just never going anywhere, and the chance you actually kill it in the game is slim to none. So, good. I'm glad you don't have to face that. Okay, does a unit count as being obscured when some of the models within it are behind others? So skirmishers, is that what they're talking about? Does a unit count as being obscured when some of the models within it are being behind others? No, a unit cannot be obscured from the enemy by itself. What's more, models within a unit do not obscure the enemy from other models within the same unit. They're either completely blocked line of sight or present no obstruction. Okay, so does that mean shooting with skirmishers is actually better now? Let me reread this. Does a unit count as being obscured when some of the models within it are behind others? No, a unit cannot be obscured from the enemy by itself. So that's like if my skirmishing unit and I have we're like checkered pattern, but like kind of blocking a little bit, so not full checkered. And you can't see all my models because my front skirmish model is blocking my behind one. So no, that's not possible. And then it says models within a unit do not obscure the enemy from models within the same unit. Okay, so does that mean you wouldn't get... Oh, sorry, that confused me for a second. A unit cannot be obscured by the enemy itself. What's more, models within a unit do not obscure the enemy from other models within the same unit. Okay, so if I have a skirmishing unit, if one part of my model's skirmishing archer unit can see your unit, the archer in front of my one that's trying to get line of sight, it doesn't block. So I guess they made skirmisher archers better. Hmm. Okay. I don't. I guess that makes it easier in terms of movement on the battlefield, so you don't have to be as precise. But it does say models. It doesn't say an entire unit. So if the unit is still obscured, then that's fine. But it's model specific. Okay, interesting. A little confusing. Sorry if that took me a minute. I wanted to make sure I got that somewhat right. All right, let's see. Do magic missiles that require the caster to draw a line from the base require of target? No. As stated in the spell's description, simply draw a line from the caster's base. Any model the line hits is hit by that spell. Now, I think that's mostly due to the Orcs and Goblins like one. There were some WTC players that were taking like 4 or 5 of those things in an army, and they were just dropping like, I think it's 5d6, like 4 or 5 5d6 lines and just like nuking stuff. Really good versus like vampire counts, killing banshees, things like that. It's a cleaner way to do line of sight for skirmishers. Yeah, I agree. I agree. Just makes it less annoying to have to be like, all right, Mike, I can see you by this millimeter, and then well, whatever. If a wizard has a special rule that applies when they attack, and oh, this is okay. This is an important one. This is and I'm glad they clarified this. If a wizard has a special rule that applies when they attack an enemy, such as Killing Blow or Armor Bane, is that special rule applied to any spells they may cast? Absolutely not. Not just a no, just absolutely not. You're crazy to even suggest such a thing. That's hilarious. Okay, so that would be if you had like Doppelganger. That mean the spell, if your unit entry has Killing Blow, let's say for some reason a Witch Hunter, just because it's popped in my head, a Witch Hunter just has Killing Blow. If he is somehow able to cast Hammer Hands, or if he's able to cast Doppelganger, the spell, the special rule of the model, unit, whatever, doesn't apply to that spell. Okay, Doppelganger would just be if the weapon had Killing Blow, then it would work. But in this instance, it's just the unit that has Killing Blow, not the weapon. Okay. If a wizard has joined a unit, can they cast spells from any rank, or must they be in the front rank? This is good. I'm glad they've added this. Unless they have a special rule that states otherwise, a wizard must be in the front rank or the first fighting rank of their unit to cast spells. Like all characters, wizards bring no benefit to their unit by skulking in the rear ranks. You cowards! Alright, that's good. A lot of people would try and do, I think it was, what's the rule? Like too many characters. I think that's the rule. Where they would put command up front and then they would hide a character in the second rank and then try and cast spells from it. But here it says, unless you have a special rule, which I think that would be maybe Skaven and Bertonia for the lady. I don't know if there are any other wizards that have that special rule. I don't think so. Okay. Interesting. No, I have not done the Cannon on the Hill one yet. That is coming because I haven't seen that one yet. So spoiler alert, they updated the Cannon on the Hill, so we'll see what they say. Does a wizard that join a unit need to be in base contact with the enemy model to cast an assailant spell, or do they only need to be within a fighting rank? They do not need to be in base contact, but they also must be in the first fighting rank, which then points to this one. So they have to be in the first fighting rank. So they've changed. I guess there's now a first and second fighting rank. Because obviously if you're infantry and you get charged, you fight in 2 ranks. And it used to just be you're like, it's the fighting rank. But now they're adding first and second fighting rank. Okay. So I could have my wizard on the far corner. You could only be in base to base with my other far corner of the unit, not my wizard itself. And then I could do Doppelganger and Hammer Hands and all that other stuff. All right. Good to know. Good clarification. When a unit redresses the ranks, okay, this is good because this will hopefully cut down some of the crazy shenanigans you see out there with drilled. Okay, drilled didn't specifically say, well, let me just read this. Getting ahead of myself. Let me read this. When a unit redresses the ranks, must the width of its front rank be increased or decreased as equally as possible on either side? Yes. The exception to this is when the width of the front rank is increased or decreased by an odd number of models. In such cases, one side of the unit will gain or lose one more model than the other side. Totally fine. So if you choose an odd number, then you could do 3 from one, 2 of the other, or 1 and 2, or whatever. But it can't be 1 and 3, or 5 and 0. It has to be 1 1, 2 1. They have to be within one of each other if it's an odd number. But if you do an even number, it has to be even on both sides, which is good. It's good. Now you could still do some shenanigans if people are doing Cathay still, where they take the I think it's a Jade Fleet, where they take the Empire on a captain, or on a Empire captain on a demigryph, and then it's the same number of units, right? If I just do 1 and 1, but the demigryph's base is wider, so you can still do some kind of shenanigans, but most of the time, it'll be more even. That's good. I'm cool with that. I think it clarifies so you can be on the flank side of a combat and still cast. That is correct, Dylan. That is correct. Whoa! Okay, now I feel bad. Okay. I instantly read this. I feel like I'm a whatever. But when a unit wheels, do you have to measure the curvature of its movement? No! Simply measure the unit's movement in a straight line from the end of the front rank furthest from the corner around which the unit pivots. So I feel bad for all those people that were very harped on, or very stuck. I wouldn't even say stuck. Just preferred to use the actual curvature of a circle as you're wheeling. And there are even people and companies who made tools for this, and some of them are they're pretty badass, to be honest. So I feel bad for them. I assume some communities, local like groups and stuff, will still want to play with the curvature of the circle of the wheel, but this just makes it simple, cut and clean. Everyone just, here's your movement. Everyone just take your tape measure to there. There you go. You made it. All right, keeps it cleaner. Now backwards wheeling is legal? Hold on, Noob Lord. Hold on. No, you can only wheel forward. You can't wheel backwards. So it says when a unit wheels. So then you would look up wheeling, and then that still means you can only wheel. You can't wheel backwards, unless I'm missing something and I'm interpreting this wrong. But I think that's right. Yeah, I assume you can only still wheel backwards. Oh, I already read that one. All right, let's see. Whilst running down the foe, if a charging unit is a charging unit considered to be pursuing a fleeing enemy in purposes of crossing the edge of the battlefield, etc. Yes, a unit that runs down the foe is very much pursuing a fleeing enemy unit whilst doing so. Running down the foe is a charging unit considered to be pursuing. So I remember a discussion, this might have only been like a couple weeks ago, where you would actually stop against the table edge because you can't, there's only certain instances where you're allowed to move off the battlefield, and I don't remember if this is the one, hold on. Where is my rulebook? 1 second. Core rulebook. Yes, but wheel 350 degrees. Why would you do that? Oh, okay. Is that ever really? Yeah, but you could do that anyways. You could wheel 350 degrees back then too, right? It's the same as wheeling 10 degrees forwards. I think you meant backwards there. Okay, interesting. Hold on, it's like off the battlefield. The flee move. Pursuit off the battlefield. Should any part of the blah, 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 blah. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, you still continue off the battlefield. Makes total sense. Sorry if I cut through that, but yeah, you would still pursue off the battlefield. So I don't really understand. It's while running down the foe, like catching a fleeing unit that just like fled. Yeah, that makes sense. I'm cool with that. Okay. Stand and shoot. A unit cannot stand and shoot if the distance between it and the charging unit is less than the movement characteristics of the charging unit. That has not changed. But if a unit is charged by 2 or more enemy units and only one is too close, can it stand and shoot at the other? No. Ah, okay, that's definitely new. Obviously, because it's in magenta or pink. It's pink. Yeah, no. If any of the charging units are too close to stand and shoot, blah 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 blah, it cannot stand and shoot. I think that's fair in terms of how it would work on the battlefield. If these guys are too close to you and you can't stand and shoot them, you're not going to turn and shoot at the enemy that's further away because you're really worried about this unit that you're about to get like stomped by. Totally cool with that. That's fine. When are line of sight and cover determined for a unit that declares a stand and shoot charge reaction? When the charge reaction is declared. Okay. So that one's a little weird because I know you don't determine, there is no long range. So it's like, why are you determining line of sight and cover when the charge is declared? But if they're at long range, they don't suffer that penalty. I understand it because then you don't want to say, okay, fine, move them within half range and then determine line of sight and cover. That just gets a little bit more complicated. So this is just like, do it when the charge is declared, but you just don't suffer long range. Totally fine. Makes it easy. Makes it easy. And if there's anything that I'm interpreting incorrectly, please just say it. Please just say it. It's the same as wheeling 10 inches forward. Before wheeling 35 degrees, almost like 1,000,000 inches. Now it's like 1 inch. Charging out of cover. Yeah, if you're charging out of cover, then you have cover when they declare stand and shoot. Period. Which I think I've always done that, but okay. Some chariots are equipped with large-scale missile weapons such as bolt throwers. Who shoots such weapons? The crew, the beast that draw the chariot itself, or a character mounted upon the chariot. Missile weapons mounted on chariots or howitahs are shot by the crew using their ballistic skill. Wasn't that what it always was? I mean, this is a very small issue. I thought it was always shot by the crew. So even if you put like a character on a Stegodon or on the high elf like Eagle Claw chariot, wasn't it always just the crew? Okay. Don't know what changed there. I've already read that one. All right. Start with this one. If a unit with the press of battle rule has not yet fought, models from the end of the first fighting rank will close in as described on page 150 into base contact with the enemy, but can models from the second fighting rank step forward into base contact and fight immediately? Yes. As stated on page 150, models cannot fight during a phase in which they step forward into a fighting rank. However, models already in a fighting rank can step forward and close in as described. Okay, so if you're in this second fighting rank and some models of yours were, and that means you get to attack because you're within range. If models in your first fighting rank were killed, and then the second fighting rank that could already swing step into fill the gaps, they count as base contact, so they get their full attacks. They don't lose their attacks. They don't still just have one as supporting attack. They now get their full attacks. Okay, cool with that. Does press of battle apply to unit's flanks and rear arcs or just to its front? If a unit has and is able to use the press of battle rule, it can do so regardless of which arcs the enemy is engaged with, which is good because I think we have been playing that. If you get charged in the flank, you get to fight in 2 ranks. As an infantry, obviously, and rear. So we have, I think, I don't know if most people have been playing it, but I think locally that has been the case. A pursuing unit must move directly towards the fleeing enemy, but it must move forwards whilst doing so, or can it move sideways? As stated on page 123, units must move forward unless performing a maneuver or when giving ground. This includes whilst pursuing. Who was moving a pursuing unit sideways? I'm trying to think of an instance. So if you're charged in the flank, I don't see why this needs to be. A pursuing unit must move directly towards the fleeing enemy. Yes, usually you pivot about your center and then you go forward. So is that just to be better positioned for next turn? Some people were deciding to pivot and go sideways. Okay. I guess I could see how that's better for like a following turn if you're trying to get, if you don't want to get, if you're like you're in, if you followed and spun to face them directly and you followed them this way, but there's a unit here, you don't want to get charged in the flank, so you would go sideways and have them hit your front. I haven't seen anyone even try this, just because that's probably how they didn't interpret that way, and I never did either. You had to pivot to face them, but okay. If a unit, I'm glad they had clarified it. I guess there were some questions. If a unit has to pivot before fleeing from an enemy it is engaged with, in combat with, must it make peril tests? No. As stated on page 125, units ignore other units whilst pivoting. Yeah, I think most people, you know what? I bet a lot of people did not do that. They probably considered the pivot when to like flee out of combat because they'd have to flee in a certain direction, that they would take a peril test. But no. But if you basically land in the unit, you ignore them right on the pivot. But then as you move, if you started in that unit, like let's say you started in the unit a little bit and then you started to flee, so like you're like this, you have to pivot like this. You don't take a perils here, but now that you start your move, you take the perils that are in, I guess let me do it on this side. If that makes sense to y'all. It should. I think it does. Cool. Uh-oh, I see low linear obstacle. Uh-oh. If 2 units are engaged across a lone linear obstacle, are they limited to making just a single attack because they aren't in base contact? No. Whilst a charging unit will become disordered, and whilst impact hits and stomp attacks cannot be made due to presence of the obstacle as stated above, units are otherwise able to fight normally across a low linear obstacle as if they were in base contact. That's big. That's very, very big. Because there were a ton of units, not only dwarves, but there's a spell called Earthen Ramparts that would say just one attack each. So now, and that was really busted. Earthen Ramparts, like cool, everything only gets one attack, you get no stomps, you get no impact hits. Now I'm just going to win based on combat res and not enough attacks coming through. But now you can have more than one attack. Very big change. I'm glad they did that because it was extremely abusable and a ton of people did it, including me. I took it. I used it. It was very, very good. And I took advantage as well, as did others. A pursuing unit must... Oh, I'm stupid. I already did this one. Sorry, guys. Let's go down. Let's start here. Like we're actually reading. One up. If a character is within one fighting rank, they cannot move through the ranks to join another. Might this prevent them from accepting the challenge? No. If a character is eligible to accept a challenge, they can do so whether they are in a unit and will move through the ranks into base contact with their opponent. However, if it is awkward to move a model, it is quite acceptable for the players to agree it is moved and fight the challenge as if the combatants were in base contact, thus avoiding too much disruption. I've kind of gotten to a point where challenges having this issue where it's acceptable for them to like agree that's in base contact can cause some problems later down the line, depending on where your models are, where they're swinging. Cool, did you reform to put him back to where he should be? Those kind of issues. I feel like it would be much easier if they just forced you to move into base contact with your opponent, just to save some like weird disagreements later in the game. But whatever. Which this usually never, like weird disagreement, they never come into play in like when you're playing casually. But I have seen it happen when it comes to competitive play. No more up here. All right, cool. Hey, they finally declared this after, oh my gosh, after what year? How many years has it been? Almost 3? Does placing a unit of ambushers into reserve count as deploying a unit? No. So putting a unit and it doesn't say. Oh, finally, thank goodness. When are ambushers placed into reserve, and when is it declared? If your army includes any ambushers that you wish to hold in reserve, set those units aside before deployment begins, making it clear to your opponent that they are ambushers and they will be held in reserve rather than be deployed with the rest of your army. I think that this was, I haven't seen anyone do this. Sorry, I've seen every single person do this right here. They all had always declared before deployments, like these guys are in ambush, these guys are in ambush, because there was no rule saying this part, and there was no rule saying when ambushes were put in reserve. So I'm so happy that they added this just to keep like janky stuff not occurring. Because I could be like, cool, I deployed my guys in ambush, deploy another unit. Oh, and my second unit ambushers deploy another unit. And then they just have like great tactical details because I get to see how you're deployed. And obviously we know Old World is huge when it comes to deployment. So thank you, GW, for adding this into here. That is very, very important. Appreciate that. Appreciate that. Most people did that anyways, but whatever. Can a drilled unit redress the ranks before making a countercharge reaction? Yes. I think most people already played with it as yes, because it says anytime a unit moves, I think is what it says for drilled. And I know this FAQ says a move is anytime you like pick up a model to do anything. So then you could drill it out. Totally fine. Can an evasive unit use that special rule whilst engaged in combat or whilst fleeing? No. Good, because if you're in combat, how are you going to evasive? What? That's ridiculous. So good. I'm glad they added that. If a model has Killing Blow or Monster Slayer, does a roll to wound of a natural 6 cause an enemy to lose all of its remaining wounds, even if that enemy would normally be too tough to wound? No. If a model cannot wound an enemy, it cannot kill it. So that would be if your strength is the strength like 5 or 6 higher than. Sorry, if the toughness is 5 or 6 higher than the strength, I think that means you can't be hurt. So I think strength 2 versus toughness 7 or 8 can't be hurt. So if you somehow have a toughness that or strength that low, and you have a toughness that high, and you have Killing Blow or Monster Slayer, you can't be hurt by it. I don't know what instance that could actually happen, but maybe if you take a potion or something. Or spells. There are some plus stuff in the spells. Does a unit with move through cover discard the highest dice when making a charge roll if charging through terrain? No. Wow. That's great. So it makes move through cover actually important and impactful. That's good. That's good. Because you used to have to, yeah, you would ignore the -1 move penalty, and I think you get reroll dangerous terrain, but you'd still have to drop the highest dice. So you're still moving super freaking slow. But finally, they gave move through cover its due. That makes me happy. That's very good. It's very good. Good job, GW. I'm glad you noticed that. I'm sure a lot of people were complaining about that. Can a model make more regen saves than it has wounds remaining on its profile? No. When a model makes regen saves, regeneration, it makes 1 save for each wound lost. At reductions from Goblin spell comes to mind. Ah, okay. Fair. No strength reduction. So what's the point of that? Can a model make more regen saves and has wounds remaining? So if okay, so does that mean Does that mean if I am hit by, let's just say 5 wounds, makes 1 save for each wound lost. If you hit me with 5 wounds, let's say 10 wounds, I pass 5 armor saves. I don't have a ward save. I have 5 regens to make. Do I have to slow roll it and take 1 regen save? If I pass it, I take the next one. If I pass it, I take the next one. Or do I just roll all 5 at the same time? There's 1 save for each wound lost. Well, if you failed 5 armor saves, then you suffer 5 wounds. So then you would still take 5. Yeah, you would still take 5 regen saves at the same time. You wouldn't slow roll it. Interesting. Oh no, Noob Lord, you're saying the opposite. If you take 100 wounds and have 1 room remaining, you make 1 regen? Wait, no. It says make 1 save for each wound lost. Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. No, that can't be right. Makes 1 save for each wound lost. Yeah, I'm only gonna if I fail a million armor saves, and I'm a 1 wound champion. Wow, maybe they really are just making regen 1 for each wound lost. No, because that's crazy. If I fail a million armor saves, and now I'm on to regen, if I pass that 1 regen save, I'm still alive. Guys, this rules is written. That's a tough one. Well, GW, that is what you need to declare. I'm going to take a screenshot of this one and post that, and that's going to be a fun. Oops, I need to do this. That's going to be a fun discussion. Sheesh. Desktop regen. Okay. Okay. Well, I think you're right, Noob Lord. I think you're right. That's how I'm reading it too. I don't like it. I don't like it. I should have to take a regen for each save I failed, not each wound lost. But hey, that's what they want. All right. If a stubborn character joins a unit that is not stubborn, and that unit loses its first combat of the game, does the character remain stubborn until they have the opportunity to make use of the rule later? No. Okay, so if you put a stubborn character in a unit, your unit loses combat. You obviously don't get to use stubborn unless the majority, or is it all, of the unit is stubborn. And then if that character leaves and joins another unit or is just by himself and gets into combat, he has already used his stubborn rule. Period. That is what this rule is saying. Okay, no big deal. No more down here. Do skirmishers have flanks or rear whilst engaged in combat? They do form up. They are not considered to have a flank or rear for the purpose of calculating combat result points. I think people have already been doing that, but it's good clarification. When a unit of skirmishers becomes engaged in combat and forms up, must any oops. What did I just hit? Must any command group models it contains placed in the front rank. Okay. So what if the command? Okay, so this is the stuff I don't like. So when they form up, that means the command models, if they somehow can't make it to the front, then they just get shoved to the front. That's what this seems like it's saying. Because if they must be placed, but then they can't be placed because they don't have the movement, I could see someone arguing saying that those models just die. But I think this is kind of forming up into a unit like a regular rank and flank that they would just get shoved to the front, which that's fair. They just get shoved to the front. Okay. And on this side, nope. A fighting rank cannot contain more characters than it does rank and file models, for sure. In the case of a unit with the press of battle rule, does this include rank and file models in the second fighting rank? No. No single fighting rank can contain more characters than it does rank and file models. It doesn't matter how many fighting ranks a unit may have. Okay, that's fine. So just no biggie. Don't even need to explain that one. This is revision. If a character is in any rank of a unit other than the front rank, for any reason, do they confer bonuses onto the unit? No, unless they have a special rule stating otherwise. Characters must lead from the front or retire to the rear. Good. I think a lot of people have been playing that. No problem. Basically, if you're not in the first fighting rank, you're not getting any bonuses unless there's a special rule. Can my unit shoot at an enemy character that is within 3 inches of an enemy unit? Can my unit shoot at an enemy character that is within 3 inches of an enemy unit if that unit is not itself an eligible target? No. Okay. So this clarifies the big disagreement of people where if I have 2 units in a combat and I have a character chilling right here, can my unit that's over, I guess here, shoot at this character? It's within 3 inches of this unit. So is it protected? They are saying here, no. So even though I can't shoot at the unit in combat, I can't also shoot at the character because of these requirements. Okay. Good to know. Good to know. That came into not effect, but that came into a play a lot. A lot of people would have that discussion, and it basically had to be discussed for certain tournaments. It mattered. Can a character that has joined a unit be the target of a spell that would give them a special rule that prevents them from joining a unit? No. If casting a spell would cause a situation the rules specifically prohibit, the spell cannot be cast. So if you're a character and you want to give yourself ethereal, you're in a unit that is obviously not ethereal because you can't join that unit anyways, or an ethereal unit, then if you cast ethereal onto yourself, here it's saying you are not allowed to even attempt to cast that spell. Okay. They did not change. Here's the canon thing. That's from earlier. That's not changed. Maybe it's going to be down there. Some characters have special abilities that require leadership test. If the character is slain, do these abilities cease to apply immediately like a spell? Yes. So dig in or dug in, whichever it is for a dwarf sapper. At this start of command phase, you do that. Cool, you charge, you have a high initiative, you kill the character with some high initiative other character, or you kill the sapper, then the rest of the unit is no longer dug in, which I don't actually like. That doesn't make a lot of sense because it's not like all the dwarves just hop out of their holes and no, they're going to stay in there, but no problem. No problem. All right, here's your cannon coverage. Yeah, new blower is going to be weird. All right, when shooting a cannon, a line of sight is required to the target point. But what about the strike point? A cannon does not require a line of sight to the strike point. I think most people knew that already. However, if anything that would stop a cannonball from bouncing, C5 crunch page 2 do sweat. Okay, I'm going to skip that for a second. However, if anything that would stop a cannonball from bouncing lies between the target point and the strike point, the cannonball will hit it and stop. In other words, you cannot use a high result on the artillery dice to glitch a cannonball through an impregnable obstacle. That is great. So that means you can't shoot. You can't put now. I was doing this a few tournaments ago. I've seen other people doing this a tournament like the last time I played, and I'm totally cool with this. So if there is a hill, I'll just do this. Whatever. If there is a hill and my cannon's on this side of the hill, and there's a unit over here that I want to try and hit, right? You can put the cannonball anywhere on the hill, and that's uh, the target point. But I want to roll my first artillery die. It just needs to be a 2 or less, or 2 or higher, sorry. And then it'll strike here and then bounce and hit my target. Here, they are saying that if there's anything that would stop... Wait, can I put it at the very edge so then it's not totally covering? No, I hope not. So we're just going to say that that's how I am interpreting this, is that you cannot then target the cannonball at the edge of the hill and then you roll the first artillery die. It just stops immediately because they're not trying to. They are saying you cannot be janky with this cannonball. If you would normally hit a hill and it stops, then that means you can't even shoot past the hill. That's great. What are you saying? However, now if you just target the enemy mini directly and not 10 inches from the back, you always hit it because your cannonball hits it and stops as long as you don't misfire. Uh, that is only. Wouldn't that only be if they're at the back of the hill? No, because if you were, let's say if you're like midway up the hill and you put the strike points on the center of their base, whatever, and you roll a 4, and that still lands at the, it'll go like towards the back of the hill and stop, but it'll still miss the model. No, if they're on the hill is between the strike point. However, if anything, I don't know if I agree with that, but let me read it again. However, if anything that would stop a cannonball from bouncing lies between the target point and the strike point, the cannonball will hit it. That means the cannonball will hit the hill and stop. It's not saying the cannonball hits at the target point and stops. It says the cannonball hits the hill and stops. So if you don't hit the hill until a little bit past the target point, which is the strike point, then it stops at the strike point. Yeah, okay. I think I'm interpreting this correctly. So if you're midway on the hill, here I'm just going to do this. We're bird eye view. You're here. This is my model, and let's just say this is also the strike point. If I roll a 2 or a 4, and this is now my strike point, and it's still on the hill, it stops here. It doesn't just immediately stop here. It says the cannonball will hit it, meaning the hill, and stop. It's not saying it hits the model and stops. It says it hits the hill. No, hold on. You don't put the strike point, you put the target point. Yeah, I know. Yeah, the strike point is where the cannonball actually first hits. The target point is the target where you actually, I'm going to target here. Here's my point. I roll an artillery die. It goes whatever distance, and that's then the strike point. I totally agree with that. So that means I'm targeting here because that's your model. So it's just the same as it was before, actually. So if my target is here, and let's say you're on like a chariot-sized base or something, and then I'm going to target ahead of you, like in front of you, and if I roll, let's say a 4 or 6, then the strike point would land on you. Then you actually still get hit. But here they're saying if you target like the model itself and you go past it, then you don't stop at the model. You stop as far as you can go. But like, yeah, if you rolled a perfect 10, if like here's the hill and you're on this side and you roll a 10 and you hit the guy or whatever it is, then you hit it. Yeah, I totally agree with that. But they're saying you can't use it to go past. They're also not saying you just land directly at whatever your target point is. That would be, there's no way you just hit whatever you target on a hill. I'm not sure if that's what you're saying, but I know that's not the case. That's not the case. Because that's just adding another glitch, which would be ridiculous. They won't do that. Okay. I'm okay with it because then you can't bounce past hills still. Good. Or you can't like overshoot to like arc over the hill and then it bounce and go, which is good. And then what did they change? Can a cannon that is on a hill target a point on the ground if woods, a building, or a hill lies between it and that point? No, a cannon cannot shoot over such obstacles, even if it is on a hill. However, a stone thrower can choose to fire indirectly. Can a cannon that is on a hill target a point on the ground if woods, a building, or a hill lies? Okay, yeah, that just means you can't see, which makes sense because you can't see over impassable, and you can't see over the hill, and then you can't see over a woods. So yeah, a woods, a building, or hill basically is infinitely high, even if your other cannon is on a hill. Totally, that's fine. I haven't seen anyone try that anyways, so no biggie. No biggie. To defend a low linear obstacle, a unit. Oh, would you agree, Noob Lord, with my assessment? Would you agree, sir? To defend a low linear obstacle, a unit must move its front rank into base contact with this. Are skirmishers able to do this, or does their lack of ranks prevent it? Skirmishers can defend a low linear obstacle. To do so, simply move as many skirmishers as possible into base contact with one side of the feature. Makes sense. Now, someone tried to tell me that unless your entire unit is in base contact with a low linear obstacle, you don't count as defending it. Which I don't agree with, but maybe that'll be clarified later. When does a detachment determine which arc of an enemy unit it will charge into when making a supporting charge? When it is moved at the end of the charge move subphase. Okay, that's. I think that's always. It's not always been the case, but I guess it wasn't worded correctly when they first did it. But it makes sense to me. Once they charge, then you charge to get the flank, as it used to be back in the olden times. While Strain Magic is in play, does it increase the casting value of bound spells? Ooh, that's neat. Bound spells get hurt by Drain Magic too. Oh boy, here we go. Okay. Can a character replace the armor with which they come equipped with a lighter magical armor in order to bypass restriction imposed on the upgrades? How a character can replace one type of armor with another. Duh. However, for the purposes of any available upgrades that are restricted based on the type of armor worn, the character is still considered to be wearing the armor they come equipped with. Okay, so thank you, GW, for adding this. This is to clarify such things as like the Warriors of Chaos I forgot the name of it, but it's the thing that gives you +1 toughness as long as you're not wearing heavy or plate armor. I'll find it. Hold on. There's some. What's the toughness spell or toughness? Chaotic trait. Unnatural fortitude. So rules as written before this FAQ was announced, it did not work this way. Not even close. Rules as written wise. But now they clarified it and says it's not legal. Totally cool with me. As long as rules as written, you are not allowed to do it. Previously, totally were, and I will prove it if you want me to. There's multiple instances that prove it. For the purposes of other upgrades, what types of armor? I'm glad they're finally adding this. For the purposes of other upgrades, what types of armor are the armored of silvered steel and the armor of meteoric iron? If a suit of magical armor gives an armor value of 6, it should be considered light armor. If it gives a 5, it's medium. If it gives a 4 or better, it's full plate. Great. So that means all those armors are now actually considered light, medium, or full. Or sorry, light, heavy, or full. Now you actually wouldn't even need to include this if you just did this, to be honest. If we're talking about the unnatural fortitude, you could have just done this, and that actually gets rid of the instances where this comes into play. Funny enough. Except for, I guess, wizards. No, because they couldn't even just wear armor at all. Okay. Does a weapon's AP reduce the armor value of meteoric iron? No. That's good, because rules as written, originally, the meteoric iron was, it would just be a 5-up save, but it could still technically, rules as written, be decreased by AP1, AP2, AP3, so then you wouldn't get a save. But there were just certain, it's like, I think it couldn't be modified. So spells that could reduce your armor save, this wouldn't care about, but AP1 and 2, it actually would change the armor save, but no one played it that way because then there's no reason to ever take this armor, period. So they at least solidified it, saying that it cannot be modified by AP. It's good. It's good. Match play guide. If a unit is limited to, for example, to 0-3 specific unit character, blah, blah, blah. No? Cool, cool. Okay. You can field up to 3 per character in the first example and up to 6 in the second example. So a lot of people don't like this. If it's 0-3 for like, what are we doing? If it's 0-3 for a specific character or 0-3 per 1,000 points, no one wants to see, when it's 0-3 per 1,000, if you have 2,000 points, you need to make, like tournaments, it should just be 3 max. Having 6 of something, like 6 stupid cannons, is just not, no, it's just 6 of certain things is just not, I don't know. I don't know what to say. It's just not. But note, however, that +1 is not a restriction. It is a minimum requirement. So does that mean if you have a 1+, you could have more? Yeah, I guess so. There is no limit on a 1+. Is that really what they're saying? You can have unlimited if it's 1+? This is for combined arms. This is not also including grand melee or melee, whatever. This is just combined arms. Okay. When using domination as a secondary objective, do you get their victory points for having more than double the enemy's unit strength in a table quarter if there are no enemy models in the unit? No. Or in the quarter? No. To be more than double an enemy's unit strength, the enemy has to have some models in the quarter. If they have none, and you do, you gain the VP bonus for that achievement instead. That's good, because I think that means you no longer will score 250 VP for a table quarter, which I think if you had models in there and they had nothing, I think it was 250. But I think this will cut off some of that because you don't have double zero is still 0. So they're saying that's not included. So that's good. Because I would agree that domination with table quarters was too heavy of a swing for VPs. Okay, that's it for the rulebook. So some good changes. Some good changes. I'm happy they included this. I'm happy they included the ambush thing. I'm happy they changed the being able to shoot over cannons or cannons shooting over. I'm happy they made it easier, not easier for skirmishers to determine obscured and stuff, but at least makes it quicker. When you kill something with a special rule, it automatically goes away for the unit, just like a spell. You can't cast certain things. They clarified being able to shoot at characters, even if you're the unit that would normally stop that. You're still able to shoot at the character. You're no longer able to shoot at the character, even if my unit's in close combat. That's good. They clarified some fighting rank stuff. Okay. Mostly good changes. Mostly good changes. I'm happy with basically all of them. Great. The only one that's a little confusing is this regen one that I will make a post somewhere and hopefully people can talk about it. That's a weird one. All right. Crack the neck. Ugh. Let's go to Ravening Hordes. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, there's so much. Ugh. I wasn't expecting this to take this long, but I guess I should have expected it. That's okay. We will fight through it. I should go get a cough drop is what I should do. Orc mobs. Oh. Mobs of orcs just get Furious Charge. I'm cool with that. Wog! Fair enough. Fair enough. You don't really see many orc mobs or mobs. The only ones you really see are when it's like just a unit to have a bunch of wizards in to get that +1. But that's cool. Goblin and boss change initiative characteristics to 3. Were they 4? I bet they were 4. Oh boy. Anyone else read what I'm saying? Wow. Okay. Enemy units cannot charge a fanatic or otherwise attempt to engage a fanatic in combat. However, a fanatic can be targeted by enemy shooting as if it was a lone character. Thank goodness. Fanatics were so busted. Thank goodness. Okay. Holy hell. Finally. Goodbye, fanatics. If a fanatic finds itself aligned fully or partially underneath the template, it risks being hit as normal. No problem. Should a fanatic move into another fanatic, they become entangled. Yep. And they're both dead. Excellent. If any natural rolls for double blah 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 blah. No problem. That also makes sense. Thank goodness you can now shoot at a fanatic. Woohoo! Oh my goodness. I'm sure I always have notifications off because it would be loud. Oh my god, too many messages. I will look at all of that later. Holy crap. I'm just glad fanatics can be targeted. Thank goodness. F fanatics. RIP. They're still really good. Okay? Don't get me wrong. Fanatics is still amazing. But now at least you can try and stop them. Common trolls. I assume that's higher. I assume they got an increase in leadership. I bet they were 5s, and this was a 6. Now, I don't know if they went up or down in points, but here we are. Whoa! Giants become toughness 7? Ew. I like it. You don't see them too much anyways, but that's great. I love that. Oh, thank goodness they got rid of this crap. So now not every single character of your whole army can just have a 5-up regen, because that wasn't busted for orcs. Good, good. Okay, okay. But they gave giants a buff and some infantry a buff. Cool. And maybe they hopefully gave trolls a buff. It's good. It's good. Wait, are they just going through everything? They are, okay. Demon Prince. Whoa, is the Demon Prince going up? Didn't a Demon Prince only have 4 wounds? Monsters, creature, character. Wasn't he already that? Hold on. Hold up. Wait a minute. Wait, what page is this? It says page 57, but what book? Oh, I guess it's just in Wars of Chaos. I was going to look at Demons of Chaos, but clearly they're not in the Ravening Hordes book because, yeah. So Demon Prince I thought was 4 wounds, and he definitely didn't have stomps. So yeah, so they're giving a Demon Prince an extra wound, and they're giving him D3 plus 1 stomps. But he was just monstrous infantry. Okay, so they're making demons a little bigger, so now he's a monstrous creature. So now he's no longer character protected when he's hanging out by some warriors or by some marauders. Now he's a monstrous creature. Still has 360 line of sight. But now he gets D3. I don't know if I like that. I think that makes Demon Princes worse. But now this isn't changing the Demons of Chaos one. It's only affecting the Wars of Chaos one. I thought being infantry protected was very important because you only had 4 wounds. But now you only get 1 extra wound, and you get some stomps that have no AP, so whoop-de-doo. They're high strength, though. I think he's strength 5 base, right? Strength 6 base. Okay. Okay. Never mind. You get a couple extra stomp. Strength 6 attacks. That stomps. Not bad. Demonic Mount. Ah, he gets barding. Good. And he gets countercharge. Very good. Because it sucked when you wanted to put your demonic mount inside of a unit of knights, and then now your knights can't countercharge anymore because the whole unit has to have it. So that's good. Makes them better, and you would lose an armor save. So good, excellent, excellent. Add chaos armor. Whoa! All Wars of Chaos now get a 6-up ward save and Furious Charge. That's cool. Sad goblin noises. Yeah, sorry, Caleb. Sorry, Caleb. It's okay. They're still really, really good. Orcs and goblins are still really, really good. Okay? Still really good. But now they can at least, the fanatics can at least be shot. But that means you should always at least get, unless you kill yourself before you send yourself, the fanatics should almost always still get to hit something at least once because it's really just that initial boom that matters the most. So being able to shoot them later is just cool, so they're like out of the way. But I feel your pain. But hey, I think everyone else is like, yay! Okay. But for Warriors of Chaos, they were all so expensive and so bad. But now they just get a 6-up ward and Furious Charge for whatever reason. I don't know why Chaos Warriors get Furious Charge. But now, if not that you really see Corn Warriors, but Corn Warriors with Frenzy and Furious Charge. That's a lot of attacks. Chosen getting Furious Charge. Okay. Chaos Ogres. Become. Wait, what? Oh, okay. I thought they were like Chaos. I thought they said Chaos twice, Ogres twice, and then I was like, how is this 39 and this is 31? Which one is it? But no, no big deal. Not a crazy. Wow, regular Chaos Knights get a 6-up armor, or 6-up ward, and countercharge. No, that's already a thing. They just added this. Okay, sorry. Chosen Knights can be 3+. I guess that's Grail Knights. Grail Knights are 3+. So you can have just little units of Chosen Knights running around. Where? How much are Chosen? Oh, dogs. Oh my god. Oh, that's awful. Y'all stank. These two little stinking up the place. Ugh, disgusting. Ugh. But hey, sometimes you gotta suffer. Whew. All right. So you could have, for 108 points, you could have some chosen running around. That's with no command, no upgrades. Give them lances, give full plate and barding. You don't need drilled anymore. You got a unit of 3. So for like 130 points, you can have 3 chosen running around. Just with like 7 strength, 6 attacks, and counter charge, and a full plate barding shield with 2 up, 6 up. It's not bad. Not bad. Little missile. Whoa. Was that already a thing? Was this already a thing and I missed it? Anybody? Was this already a thing? 100 by 150? I mean, I haven't run one in a while, but it's that big now? I mean, it makes sense with the badass model that's coming out. That, you know, you could either put the sorcerer or the regular. But now a Chaos Dragon is going to go on a... Maybe they made all dragons this big. I'd be okay with that. I'd be okay with that if they made all of them that big. A Chimera. Wow, they're going to make Chimera worth it? Let us check. What did they do to a Chimera? Where can you hop? No, it's not a mount. It's just the Chimera. Where are you at? Is it special? It is. Okay, it's already 170 points, so I don't know why they said change it, unless have they already updated it? I think actually Old World Builder has already updated. Wow. What's up, Dan? The Hobby Jerks. What's up, buddy? Yeah, I mean, I'm good with that. I hope they make all the big dragons that large. So a Chimera is going to get an extra wound. It's going to be 5 wounds now, and he's going to get D3 stomps. And wow, yeah, Old World Builder has already updated some of this stuff. That's great. Even Chaos Knights, it's already up to 3. So they're already as soon as this dropped, they were on the ball changing stuff. Good job. Old World Builder. I love it. Okay. Best of Gore Herds get Furious Charge. Cool. Gore Herds get Furious Charge. Cool. Just to make them a little bit more hitty. Wow. Dragon Ogres. No longer solo. Can no longer take that Shartak with the blackened plate. No more. No more. Interesting. Okay. I'm okay with that. It was already such a tough little thing, but that's okay. Jabber Scythe gets weapon skill 5. How many points was he before? You know, this is the only problem, is that if I'm trying to look to see what the changes were, and he's already on top of things, I don't remember what the points were before. Damn it, why are you so good and fast? Quit it. Maybe he hasn't gotten to all of them. Okay, so the Jabber Scythe drops 10 points and gains a weapon skill. The Cockatrice, 155, goes... I guess it's already changed. I'm not sure. It was probably 165 or something. I'm sure they both just dropped 10 points. The Cygor, I think, was toughness 5, and now it's toughness 6. That's good, and it drops. I'm not sure if it drops any points. So he has the points, but not the toughness yet. He's probably just going through changing points right now. But a Chaos Giant goes to toughness 7. A Gorgon goes to toughness 7. Ew. You don't see them much anymore because how prevalent shooting is. But if you still just need 6s to wound it, which is all that really matters, it doesn't have an armor save, so it still is just going to get pieced down. But if it gets there, it's going to hurt. Oh, what a big nerf to Hag Tree. Thank goodness. Okay, so now it's just reroll ones to wound, not all wounds. So the price didn't go down. I think it was like 30 points. It might not be worth it anymore. Might not be worth it. Whoa! Oh man, Viletide got hurt bad. I agree. It's kind of spicy. I don't disagree. Hold on, what are y'all saying? Uh, Same as TK Bone Dragon, right? Yes, same as the Bone Dragon. I think they're all gonna, and as the Terrorgeist. I think they're all gonna be that size now. Great. Yep. Well, look, Viletide is it's still 5d6 strength 1, but it's only AP 2. You will get saves versus Viletide now. That's awesome. Good, because there were people that were taking like 4 stupid wizards and they were all with Viletide and one has Hag Tree Fetish and they were using the Herdstone and they're all +1 and then plus another because the uh, whatever that detachment was. That's great. Okay. Ooh, big nerf to Shopti. Who Shopti are only going to hit on 5s now instead of 4s with their thunk. The giant bow. I forgot what it's called. That's big. This is stupid. Why? I don't understand this. Uh, Unless you make them heavy cavalry, I don't see the point to make skeleton horsemen unit strength 4. But this is big. It would make me not want to take them anymore, or just keep them as uh, close combat. Stalkers went to 49. I really liked these guys. Uh, I'm live on Facebook. Okay. Oh shit. Sorry. How much was a stalker before? Anyone know off the top of their head? These are some great changes to at least bring some of the OP armies down a little bit. Not OP, but just obviously the stronger. So I'm curious if they did the same with every single army. I'm looking at you, Cathay. I'm looking at you. I still think Cathay is the best army in the game. We'll see if they got hurt at all. So Stalkers, I don't know if they went up or down. I think they might have gone up a little bit. I'm not sure because it's already changed an old world builder, so I don't know. Dang it, that sucks. Well, but thank you. I mean, it just sucks I can't compare, but I appreciate it already being done. Icon of Rakaf, unless a mage did charge move, a unit carrying an icon may perform a single free reform after moving. That's good, because it used to be like anytime a unit moves or something. That's good to nerf that a bit. That was busted. Troll Hag becomes weapon skill 3. I bet it was weapon skill 2. Bone Grinder Giants to toughness 7. Ah, yikes. That's so many. I think they're like 8 or 9 wounds. Whew. Nasty. Alright, Beastman, Brayherd. Warped Gores, Furious Charge. Primal Warherds, Furious Charge to Gores only. Prayton, change the wounds to 5. That's like the mutated deer. Or elk, whatever you want to call it. No, no, no. Okay. Barded Steeds get countercharge. Ooh. Okay, this is good. Let's see if this got nerfed. The target friendly unit regains D3 lost wounds, and until the start of... Wasn't that what it was before? The target friendly unit regains D3 wounds lost, and until your start of turn, your next start of turn subphase, improves the regen value by 1. I think that's what it was before. I don't see how that got nerfed. Or changed. But I'm probably missing something. I'm sure it got nerfed, but I just don't see it. Nothing else, nothing else. If a single character or unit takes 2 or more of the same chaotic trait, are the effects cumulative? No. Okay, no problem. When raising dead, can they be raised within an inch of an enemy model unless the unit is engaged combat? No, of course. Can a Royal Herald take hits on behalf of a monarch that is engaged in a challenge? No. Cumulative for Taskmaster? No. Not a huge deal. Aha! Now a casket can't even move in the reserve move phase. That's good. It's good. Not used too much, but if it's an immovable object, it was like it can't move in the remaining moves phase or whatever it was. But now you could remove it. You could move it in reserve move, but no longer. That's good. Nothing else changed in the Ravening Hordes. Good updates. They made Fanatics hittable. They changed a lot of the stuff that no one, like in competitive lists, weren't really taking. They gave them a little bit of a buff, and then they debuffed some of the strongest stuff like Vile Tide and some others. It's good. Miners. So now we're back. Oh, sorry. Now we're back on Forces of Fantasy. Wait, I shall sneed as the ancients did when with the changes to Shopti. 52 points. So they went down 3 points a model. Okay, that's cool. Don't see if Stalkers are already decent enough because you could take them as core and then put them in ambush. It was already really strong, but all right, be a little cheaper. It's fine. Miners reduce the cost of blasting charges to 1 point per model. I think it was 2 before for whatever reason. It's not even a great attack. Slayers get Furious Charge. That's good. I wish they would give them Skirmishers because that just makes sense to me. But Furious Charge is at least something. Gives them a little help. Gyrocopters. To maintain skirmish formation, every model in this unit must be within 3 inches of another, rather than just the one. However, unlike skirmisher models with a special rule. Ah, okay, so gyrocopters lost their 360 line of sight for charging and for shooting. Now they just have a 90 degree, which I'm totally cool with. Being able to like march 20 and then shoot that way, and it's like, ugh, it was busted. So that at least hurts them a little bit. So you have to be a little bit more careful about which way you're facing for charge, at least for charge purposes. For shooting, it's no problem for you to be able to shoot what you want, but for the following turn charging, very important. A cannon went down 5 points, an organ gun went down 5 or 10 points, I think 5, and a flame cannon went down. Flame cannon should drop a little more, to be honest, but okay. Their cannons are already really expensive when you add all the runes. Okay, that's fine. But this is a good change. That's a good change. Because then you can't also like march this way and put a flame template behind you. That's good. Pegasus. Whoo! This is important too. Unlike most skirmishers, this model does not have a 360 vision arc. They instead have a 90-degree vision arc. That's good. Bretonia has had their heyday in those Pegasus for far too long. I'm glad they at least... They're still really good because they have the movement to pretty much get to where they want and then be able to see the targets that they want. That's good. So only a 90-degree vision arc instead of 360. That's great. That's great. Free company militia. Furious charge. Okay. Whoa, great swords up to strength 4. You would think so to like be able to wield that Flamberg. Is that what one of those swords is called? Like the wavy one. But now they're strength 4. They're probably still too expensive. But now they are strength 4 and Furious charge. I like it. That's great. Pistoliers down to 15. Empire Knights down to 20. Inner Circle Knights to 28. I'm guessing Empire Knights were 23, maybe 24. So Empire Knights actually only went down 1 point. Not a huge deal, but, you know, can save you 10 points over a list. What about Inner Circle? Those are special. Inner Circle also just went down 1 point. Okay. Not bad. I guess. It'll let my buddy Jonesy run some great swords again, maybe. Maybe. No, hey, don't say bye bye Bretts. They're still really good. So even when I played, I think it was Adepticon. When I was at Adepticon this past year, like a few months ago, there were two Bretonian players. One was 2-0 or 2-0 that I had to play against, and then the next guy I played against was 3-0. So like, and they had no Pegasus whatsoever. So they can still do really well without pegs, and still like, win RTTs, win GTs. But obviously the pegs are a crutch. I mean, they're a crutch, but it's okay. But now no 360 line of sight, which is nice. Hellstorm rocket batteries changes strength to 4 and its armor piercing to 2. I still don't see people taking this over a cannon. Cannons are just so freaking good, especially grand cannons. Strength 4, armor piercing 2. Strength 4 AP2 is not bad. Was it only 3 and 1 before? That's really trash if it was. Yeah, it was only strength 3 AP1 before, and it was the same price of a grand cannon. Why would you ever take that instead? But 4 and 2, okay. I mean, that's a double buff. That's not bad. No points change. Barded Pegasus gets the 360 taken away. I guess this was rules as written. People were just arguing it wasn't working, but now the whole unit gets it. Maybe it just said a model or something before, but that's okay. Just to clarify. Man, why are they making heavy cavalry only like start at units of 3? I don't understand the point of that. You're not scoring because you're not unit strength 10, unless you're like running in a lot of the tournaments like locally. A lot of them we make them unit strength 9, but they're making them this unit size 3. I don't understand why. All right. Disperse formation. So this is also talking about pegs. Oh, I missed this last time. Actually, no, I remembered. I remember now. So they can be within 3 inches. Okay, so you can spread pretty far out. And that was it. That was just talking about 360 and 3 inches. Okay. Branch Wraith. Hey, good job, GW. I'm glad y'all saw this. Make them 6 so the Dryads can go at their full distance. You gain Furious Charge. That's great. Armor Bane 1. Cool. That's nice. Martial Prowess. Alright, we're changing this. During the first round of combat, a unit with this special rule gains +1 weapon skill. In addition, they can make, with the special rule, can make supporting attacks to its flank, rear, as well as to its front. So that means if you have spears, you can attack and you get charged in the rear, you can attack in 3 ranks instead of just the front rank. Cool, cool. Because I believe a spear lets you get a sporting attack, an extra rank of sporting attack, so that means you could also do it to the flank or rear with these guys. Nice. Oh, please tell me, man. Okay. So I own about 30 super well painted war dancers. I have always loved war dancers ever since I started Wood Elves, and this was my first army back in like the ends of 4th, the beginning of 5th. The book with like the war dancers like ah, and it's got like a spell singer on the front. Still have that book. It's torn up, but still have it. But now they're strength 4, and they get 2 attack space. I just love war dancers. In the Wood Elf book, they follow a war dancer like through battles and stuff, and man, are they fight so? Oh, it's so cool. Just a war dancer going through like I don't remember what they were fighting, but man, it was just sweet to read. Okay, so I would love to bring war dancers back, but they just die so easily to everything. All right, Dryads and Nymphs. Movement 6. Yep, that's just they gave him Furious Charge. That's good. Treekin become toughness 6? What? Holy crap. I love Treecan too. I think I own 12. At least 12. It might even be 18. I think I own 18 of the old, awful, not awful, but the old pewter Treecan that look like they're just sticks from the backyard. I love Treecan. Man, toughness 6? What? Wow. Don't they have a 4-up save? Hold on. Give me a second, guys. Word answers were, or Wood Elves were my first love. So they're T5. They have a, if they have a heavy armor, so they have a 5-up, 5-up. But not versus magical, right? Isn't that the whole thing with them? Is that the tree spirit thing? No, I don't remember. But they have a 5-up, 5-up, and now they're T6. That's worth looking at. They are expensive. 51 points a model. That is not cheap. That is not cheap. Whew. But toughness, sorry, that just blows my mind. Toughness 6 is nasty. As a Bretonnia, it's frustrating because I can see the Pegasus Knight's nerf was needed, but at the same time, seeing the weak parts of my army go completely untouched stings. Fenris, I hear what you're saying. I still think Bretonnia are amazing. Just your cav is disgusting. I wish they would change. I would wished that they changed the lance formation back to what it was from 6th through 8th edition. It makes it so much cleaner. You don't have to worry about breaking the lance and determine who's in base contact. Just make it what it used to be. Take up less space. I like the V. It looks cool, but it's just a little unwieldy in this. But I still think your hippogriffs are great. I still think your skirmishing archers are great. I think your bombards are good. You still have one of the best, if not the best, magic weapon in the game. Your barons and dukes are warriors are like chaos lords and heroes in terms of their striking ability, and you're still extremely fast. I think you'll be just fine. I think you'll be just fine. There might be a couple moments where you might be caught off guard, where someone's able to move behind, so then you can't see. But and that actually that's going to make your movement a little bit more challenging, because if you have a unit, was it a 50% of your unit has to be able to see the enemy you're charging? So then you just kind of have to like face, 2 this way and 2 that way, or 3 this way, 3 this way, so then you can still see what you want to charge. It makes movement a little tougher, but that's okay, because I think their movement was so easy before. This makes it so you have to have a little bit more tactics when it comes to moving them. You can't just 20 inches in any direction and then be good. So I'm okay with it, and I think you'll be just fine. I think you'll be just fine. But back to toughness 6 Treekin. What? That's insane. I'm sorry. That is just crazy. Crazy. And I love it. Sisters go to 22. Wad Riders go to 26. Is that up or down? I guess what only changed was I don't know if Wad Riders has changed points. What am I doing? I could pull it up in my PDF. Hold on. What are we talking about? I have them all right here. Why am I even asking? Duh. So they went down a point. So Wad Riders and I'm guessing Sisters both went down a single point. Okay. All right. Warhawk Riders go to 41. I love Warhawk Riders. I just don't think they do enough. They just don't do enough for their points. But they went down 3 points. Okay, that's cool. Elven Archers? That's High Elves, right? Oh yeah, definitely High Elves. So I'm guessing High Elves went down a little bit, Archers went down a little bit, Seaguard went down a little bit, Silver Helms. I still can't believe Silver Helms don't have countercharge. Sorry, High Elf players. Holy crap. Dragon Princes down to 3 max. 70? What were they, 75 before? Eagle Claw. They were 80. So both overs went down 10 points. Good, because they were a little pricey for what they did. I mean, 70's good. Seed of Rebirth. Getting rid of every character in your army having that same thing. That's good, because if you see, like my buddy's 3 dragon lists, now they all cannot have Seed of Rebirth. During the first round of combat, even with a special rogue's +1 weapon skill. Oh, that's the same as before. Scout gyros, same thing, within 3 inches instead of the 2, which I think it was before. But no longer 360 line of sight. No problem. Totally fair. Ooh, so now only 1 unit of Outriders in the Nolan army can be veterans. Okay, well, that goes. There goes that list I had. Not really there goes, but just, goes through some changes. I was going to bring this to the last tournament I was going to go to, but I ended up not going because I had better things to do. And yeah. But 0 to 1 can get that. Okay. Interesting. Imperial Ogres go down a little bit. Good, because I know some people right now who are trying to look for some cool Imperial Ogre like bits or 3D print stuff to then add to the new Ogres that GW is just releasing, and the new stuff looks incredible. What are y'all saying over here? Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay. It's because Battle March is my answer. Now the unit gains Stubborn automatically as you buy it. Okay, that's cool. Questing Knights being on release rules is a sin. I agree. I wish Questing Knights were better. I have a bunch of them, but that's what he's talking about, Jason. How you been, man? Haven't seen you in a while. Questing Knights just haven't really changed, and I wish they were a little better to be worth taking. I never see anyone take them. I love Questing Knights. I think their lore is incredible, and they're old metal models. I wish whatever. Ah, okay. They also got rid of this for Nuln. This is what lets you ignore the long range penalty, and you would take 2 units of Outriders with the Ignore Ponderous, and you would have 1 of these in each of them. All right, but that's gone. Man, that means I never got to play it. I should have taken it to the last event, so then I could have actually gotten one last hurrah with Nuln, because I haven't even played him in a tournament. But, ah well. Oh well. Order of the Fae. Note that the enemy player only wins victory points for destroying the Green Knight. For the first time, he loses his last wound and is removed from play. Okay. I guess people were giving his victory points multiple times. Ah, they finally changed this to the compulsory move subphase. So that means you can no longer come in turn 1 and then charge. And they specifically said it does not include vortexes, open ground, or hills, any constructions, walls, or buildings, blah, 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 blah. But some people, I think it was in Europe, they were saying you could come out of a hill, which is ridiculous. But there you go. Orion becomes toughness 6. I assume he went down a few points. And he no longer causes fear? Bro. How could he not cause fear? Does he have terror already? You're telling me an 8 or 10 foot hulking, like, badass looking dude with a gigantic spear, muscles rippling, antlers like just ferocious. He's got fangs, just like slobbering, ready to kill you. When he's in the mood, he can obviously be diplomatic too. So he was already 405 points, but now he's toughness 6. Does he cause terror? Why am I in here? Da, 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 da. Where is Orion? Is he just not in here? Yeah, he's in the that newer book. That's right. Okay. Then I hope he causes terror, because I don't know why you have fear there. Hope he causes terror. Thank you. Thank you, Dan. Orion dropped a whopping 55 points. good because he wasn't really good. So they dropped him 55 points, gave him toughness 6. That's sweet. I still don't know if he's worth taking. He's just too expensive. But that's okay. Change the first sentence rule. Once players have finished placing terrain, a Terrassion Warhost, I think it's a Terrassion, one of the two. Okay, so they can just place a difficult terrain. Oh. Not even woods, it's just going to be difficult terrain. Lion Guard went down some points. Murworms went down some points. These are cool. I've had to face one before, and it was neat. It was neat. They have a lot of cool little rules. Master Random Adamant work on the Anvil of Doom. Of the crew, but not the anvil itself, connecting and reconnecting. I might lose y'all. I don't know why it's telling me OBS is doing this. Reconnection successful. Hopefully that means that y'all are still here with me. Well, we're going to learn. I've never seen that message from OBS before, so hopefully everything's cool. When a model hits an enemy using the death blow special rule, does the hit benefit from the model special rules? Yes. That's good. So I don't know if that was from the last update, but that means if a Slayer dies, he will always wound on a 4. That's nice. Is an entrenched unit protected on all 4 sides or just its front? Just its front. So Dwarves got hit a little bit with this double 1 for entrenchment, and then if your character dies, you lose the rule. Good. It was too powerful before. That's nice. Can a steam tank fire steam cannon and steam gun in the same shooting phase? Yes, but the problem is it's so weird when it comes to that because a steam cannon doesn't choose a target. So when a unit has multiple weapons, it has to choose the same target. So wouldn't that still mean they should have then said yes, they can shoot it, and then they could shoot them at the same or different targets? Because when you shoot a steam tank and the cannon picks a spot on the ground. That target point is your target. So does that mean your steam gun has to shoot at that same target, which is at the ground? Because you can't shoot at 2 different targets. You can't split fire in fantasy. So how does that work? They should have just said, and you can shoot them at 2 different targets, and it would have been fine. But they did not do that. Does a unit that includes a Grail Monk with the Blessed Tripart lose Stubborn if the Grail Monk is killed before the rule can be used? No. Which is what I think Fenris was talking about. Who was that? Sorry, I don't remember. Yep. Oh, there it is. I saw it. Who said it? Yeah, it was Fenris. Yeah, so that's great. So that means your unit is basically going to have 2 characters to absorb charges, or to absorb challenges, and you'll be stubborn. Super worth it. Super worth it. Does a unit of battle pilgrims that includes a Grail Reliquary benefit from the blessings of the lady or just the Grail Reliquary itself? If the unit includes a Grail Reliquary, the entire unit gains blessing of the lady. Good, because it was argued, and I think they were kind of right, that only the Grail Reliquary got the blessing, but now they're saying the entire unit gets it, which is good, because then it makes them somewhat worth it. It's fun. Does the Waywatcher Hawkeye rule apply to magic items that allow the bears to catch a magic missile? No, only the longbow. Gotcha. No problem. Must a unit be in a phalanx in order to not become disrupted when charged by a unit with first charge? Yes, units do not gain benefit of being in a particular formation if they are not in that formation. Yep, that makes total sense to me. And that's it for Forces of Fantasy. So Dwarves got hit, and Bretonnia got hit, except for the Blessed Tripart stuff. The cost of a lot of units went down. That's good. Units that weren't played as often. Nuln got hit a little bit with the double out. You can't do like Tunes Outriders. High Elves got hit because you can't take a gajillion regen saves on all of your characters for like 15 or 20 points. All the little stuff went down in points. That's nice. Scout gyros got hit. That's good. Warhawks went down a little bit. Okay. Treekin got a going to toughness 6 is huge. War Dancers a little bit, not really great. The Branch Wraith got its update it needed. Some Knights and stuff went down. Okay. Slayers got helped a little bit. Good. All good updates. Nothing like too extravagant that it's gonna like break the game as it is now. So that's good. So that's the rulebook. That's the Ravening Hordes. Now let's go to. They had one specifically for Cathay. So I still think Cathay is the strongest army in the game. Hopefully, well, I'm opening this and nothing is on the first page, at least so far. So I hope they got hurt a little bit, because if Bretonnia got nerfed and Dwarves got nerfed and Beastman Viletide got nerfed, so if those 3 other armies got hurt a little bit and Cathay was already on top, if Cathay didn't get brought down a little bit themselves, then Cathay, the gap just grew. So let's hope that they nerfed Cathay a little bit. Nothing on this one. Nothing here. That's not enough, guys. Like, I know you need to sell models. I know you do, but they're beautiful models. They're already beautiful. People are already going to buy them. When calculating its combat result, a unit carrying the Jade Banner may claim an additional bonus of +2 combat result. Was it D6 before, or was it +3? I don't remember. But that's it. Oh my gosh. What are you? Come on, GW. You did great with everything else. Everything else looks great. Giving Words to cast, a 6-up ward, Furious Charge, giving Chosen a Furious Charge. Okay, they're stuck in combat when they transform. But nothing? Nothing to Shug Lords? Didn't make them go up in points? Nothing to Cannons? Make them go up in points? Well, untouched Cathay is nuts to me. That is nuts. I don't know if GW's not looking at competitive, like the competitive lists and the competitive tournament scene, but they are still crushing the competition when it's piloted by a good player. And the list is like meta. But man, you can still take triple Shug Lords and 2 cannons and 2 balloons or whatever, and oh, Cathay. So I still have an entire new in-box Cathay army, but once I originally read the rules, I was not going to play them. I thought they were too good and too busted, and I said we're just going to keep them in there. And I still haven't opened them. Still haven't even opened them. They're still sitting in their boxes. Man. So they're still really good. So my prediction is Cathay, especially with how Brett's 360 line of sight's gone. Gyrocopter 360 line of sight is gone. And Dwarfs, like the entrenchment and all that stuff got nerfed. Let's see. Wyverns aren't, only one's going to have a regen now. High Elf Dragons, only one's going to have that regen now. All of that occurring and nothing hits Cathay is nuts to me. It's nuts. Well, well, I still think everything else is great. Some of the rules changes are great. I think this is the only one that's going to confuse a lot of people. They changed cannons a bit, which is good, to make them not work as what you can't shoot over a hill and then bounce kind of thing. That's great. This is gonna tickle some pickles. I like how they fixed move through cover, so you don't drop the highest dice, which is good if you have that rule. I think that's good. I think everything's good except not not nerfing Cathay a little bit. Everything looks great. Everything else looks great. I'm sure there's a couple little things that I wish, like I'll be reading the rulebook and I'll be like, oh man, I wish they touched this a little bit. But I think everything overall, they did a good job. Yeah, Dan, I know you're very happy with Cathay being untouched. Holy crap. Uh, if you don't win every tournament you're going to, I'm going to be severely disappointed in you. Not really, but I think that means if they didn't already have a Cathay player on every team of WTC, which they probably did already because they're, in my opinion, the best army in the game, they will most definitely have it even more so now. But that's it. GW, I think overall, if I have to give you an A, B, C, or D, I would give you the Cathay is a big stink at the end, but everything else changes, making overall for the game, making Fanatics be able to be shot. That's great. Um, Nerfing Vile Tide is good. I'd give you, you know what? I know it's a big negative on Cathay, but I'm gonna give you a B plus. I'm gonna give you a solid B plus. If you change Cathay, then it's an instant A, instant A. But I'd say I give you a B plus on this update. A B plus. Now I don't know what's going to happen with the rulebook y'all are dropping. I hopefully all of this is included into there, or I don't know if it's even a bigger update than what we're seeing now. But I give you a B plus. I give you a solid B plus. Making this so there's less arguments of like how you're wheeling. That's good. Just measure. It's good. So okay, B plus guys. B plus. Good job, GW. Overall, pretty good. Pretty good. Satisfactory. Very satisfactory. Some parents might scold you for not bringing home an A, but we are not doing that here. We're not doing that here. So good job, GW. Everyone, thanks for joining me. I think that's it. It's already 1:30. I've spent 2 hours doing this. I got to get back to work. Stay square. See y'all at the next tournament. Be ready for Nova Open. It is the first week in September. We got some crazy stuff coming. Great prize support, engraved swords, and a whole bunch of stuff from Starforged, which is going to be awesome. You can buy your tickets right now. They are live. Doubles is going to have, I think, 40 or 60 players. Hopefully we can get to 30 teams. That would be sweet. The GT, still plenty of space at the GT. I won't go into why that is. But the 3K has plenty of spaces too. So it's a 3K event on Thursday. It is a 2.5K doubles event on Friday. And then Saturday and Sunday is the 2.25K points GT on Saturday and Sunday. Really looking forward to that. I'm very excited. Lots of work put into that. All those packets are up there. If you see anything wrong with the packets, please let me know. I will get those updated and fixed as soon as I can. But I think they look great. Seems the TO had it right with the Green Knight. I completely agree. Oh yeah, I forgot to say that one. The Green Knight can no longer charge the first turn it comes in, which I think most people had changed because it was too busted. It was either get rid of all special characters or just put like a big limit on the Green Knight, and I think we did that right. Yeah, Caleb, I completely agree. Solid FAQ, great up until the end. So we're gonna not focus on the negative. We're gonna focus on all the positive. We know that GW has to sell their models, and we hope that after they sold a lot of the Cathay, then they're starting nerfing them a little bit. That's my hope. That's my hope. Well, stay square, guys. Till next time. Peace.